Hi everyone and welcome back. So last time we were looking onto making the final adjustments for the model and here we are. We arrived not exactly up to here. I did make a few changes meanwhile and as promised because last time we were struggling with a few things in here. Um, I would like to show you what it changed and go through it before we finally starting to do the cuts today. So this is our lovely model in here generated by artificial intelligence. And the main for today is to see how we can make this kind of cuts that we have around here. I'm thinking to start with the top and how to make them in an efficient way. We don't respect exactly this picture because it's an AI generated picture and we don't have all the views available so that we can go 100% exactly as it is. And well, secondly, it's all made for training really, just for fun, just to explain things and not necessarily to go 100% accuracy. If you didn't see the previous videos about how I arrived to this point, then yeah, go and check them out. You will get up to speed and see how we arrive here so that we can continue. But meanwhile, let me explain you. So last time we were having some issues around these areas here and they were just not looking very well. And one of the thing that I wanted to show you is that's partially the problems were coming from the let me see, where is it? Image quality. So if you drop the image quality quite low, not for wireframe but for the model. So if you drop the image quality very, very low, which was part of the problem, yeah, you will start to see this kind of, let's say, shapes in here, and they can be very, very misleading. So when you are not very sure of why some things are happening and you try kind of all and you still struggle, then I would really recommend to go into the image quality and well, I put it to the maximum so that I can see the model at the highest quality I can have it available. So that's the first thing. The second thing that I did, because the whole geometry is quite organic, yeah. What I did in these areas, I make the blend between the two, this fillet and this fillet. Let's call them fillet. Are just joint surfaces, so that I can guide the software to on how to make the continuity and resolve the surfaces. This one worked directly as it was as in here, but this one I had to make the surface and then cut it using splice and only then create these two filled surfaces. It's not very pretty, but again, all this is more for learning. It's not necessarily super accurate, and if you watch all my videos, by now you should have all the knowledge to actually build all these kind of transitions. Now, another thing that I modified is around this area in the front. So if you remember, it was a little bit straight, so I increased the gap between these side surfaces and then make a mirror or a symmetry and blend them in. So that's another thing that I did in here as an adjustment so that we can have this model a bit more round than it was. And and yeah, the most interesting bit is around here. on how to make this transition to be really nice, in which in the end I used how is it called, boundary surfaces instead of fillets, and cutting the fillets. So instead of fillet, I just used the boundary surface. Oh, I think it's a helicopter passing by. Yeah, living next to an airport has its own perks. You can just almost at every hour can hear someone flying by. Um, anyway, so instead of using the fillets as I was using before, this time I used just boundary surface and I just blended in up to this point. Now if I switch the model so we can see maybe the transitions, there you go. So now you can see the transition is fading smoothly, really smoothly and very well controlled. So it looks like it works far better with boundary surfaces in curvature or whatever. I don't think it matters at the end. But the same principle is applied. So boundary surface up to whatever, up to this point in here, and only after that it will being a boundary surface, and these two surfaces in here being in continuity without having any sharp edge or anything like that, the boundary surface will just transition smoothly. Interesting to see that it works far better and far more controlled with this in this way than creating a fillet, cutting the fillet, and then using boundary surface. There are, now it makes a bit more sense in my head as well why it is happening like that, but I'm not going to get into those kind of discussions why. Just so you know, it's quite interesting and maybe it is useful for you to apply later on. Right, and that's kind of it. I didn't record how I modified all this because I did want to spare you of all the struggle that is behind until you know, arriving to something that is looking like this. Yeah, and apart from that, of course, I had to cut this surface in here, make that patch a little bit bigger and adjust it manually so that we arrive to this kind of transition rather than having a depression in there. And I can show you the maybe the original surface. Ah, no. This time, yeah, this time it worked by just cutting the surface in here and make a surface fill. All right. So now going back to our model, what I was saying that um, we will try to focus today on to cutting all these surfaces that we have, or at least to um, explain the principle of it, and then maybe in the next video I can continue by cutting the rest of the model. So I would say to go to the most interesting feature, and I was reflecting how to actually do this using SolidWorks, because in other software you can separate things by, I think, layers or folders or whatever. SolidWorks, I think it has layers, but I don't know, it's not quite the same thing as I'm used to have in other software. So because of that, I was thinking that the best thing we can do is to create a model, a part that will contain only the surfaces that will cut the model. And in this way, it will be easier to manage. Having that, you can borrow all the surfaces that you need to cut the model, the next models. You can just borrow them from that part that is containing the surfaces. All right, so let's introduce a new component, new part. I will say here surfaces to do cuts. Okay, so let's activate this. Okay, so we were saying that we want to do the part that is here on the top. Yeah, so what I'm going to do, uh, thinking to just make an offset of the whole model. Yeah, make an offset of the whole model before everything. I'm reluctant to select surfaces because by having surfaces is it will always depend on the selections that you make. So if the model changes, then you have to go back, you have to make again, modify your selections or whatever. But getting the whole surface as a copy, then you will not struggle with that anymore. Okay, so that's one thing. So we created that. Let's look at the model in here. Let me get the snipping tool. Okay, so let's see. This thing goes, oh, there. So this thing goes something like this. Yeah, from there to there, just to have an idea of the distance. And it goes like this, doing the cut, and towards here, the front, something like that. Okay, well, I can use straight away. That's the top surface. Let me go back to this. Let's open this model separately in here. Well, I can use already my favorite feature, for which reason I chose to have Solidworks instead of having some other software. So I can go straight away and start doing a spline on surface. So I don't know, how do I want to have this? So I was saying I'm going something like that. Okay, and I am passing over that line in there, and maybe something like this. So straight on the model so we can see what is going on. I'm switching to not see those edges in there. Let's see again on different environments so we can see the reflections better, maybe. And something darker so that I can also, so that I have a dark background. I don't like that white. It's just hurting my eyes. Anything that can give us not so reflective. Okay, I will keep it like that. I'd rather have the dark background than seeing the stuff around. I can see already where they are roughly. Anyway, so let's see. So it goes like that. Yeah, except that this curve should be curved this way. And it should be visible that is curved that way from a perspective. Yeah, something like this. Okay. And then what's going on? So then it goes straight down. And maybe we can make things a little bit more interesting here, because I can go down and on the sides. Okay, so I'm having something like this. Am I going up to here or no, I'm not. So I should be somewhere there. And I should be somewhere here with this. Yeah. Okay, so that's one curve that we have straight on the model. Okay. And then the second curve will come something like that. I can see some sort of an edge there, so I will try to have that. All right. Spline on surface. I already forgot, so it is like that, yeah. So let's go here. It does follow like more like a parallel kind of thing, but it will go down there. That's fine. So I am doing something like that. Oh yeah, but it is much wider, so I can do something more wide. Okay, and then it's just connected right there in the front, but it should arrive to the middle, isn't it? Yeah, so let's get this one in here and this one in there and probably this one in here, something like that. And let's see now if I am doing spinal surface between these two and set them in tangency. Yeah, okay. So nope. Then I will have to introduce a third point, somewhere like this. Yeah, so it is recognizing it on both sides, and I will go like that. Is it quite close? Yes, it is quite close to that edge. Okay. So I'm not interested to have the model very precise, being or very organic, and as long as I'm arriving to something very similar to what I have in there, I'm happy with it. Okay, so yeah, so I will do something similar to that. I'm just keep checking from perspective because we have only one picture that is showing us something, so not ideal, but that's the thing with artificial intelligence, right? It's not doing all the other views as well. That would be awesome. Probably in the future we will have something like that. Okay, so what I don't like is that they were not very equal, so I will just adjust this curving here to come closer to that edge. Should be even more close than there. Okay, so I can get this one as well closer. Yeah, something like that. No, I don't like that they are perfectly parallel. I don't like the idea, especially from that kind of perspective. You can see they are not perfectly parallel. Okay, so something like that. And let's see. So from there, I have this. So I could continue on the surfacing here, but no need. So what I can do is just create this in here. Yeah, let's do like this. So that there. But I don't want it to be perfectly straight. Actually, I do want a curve. I do want it curved. Okay, something like that. And now, since we have the freedom to choose, because we don't have, not much is visible anymore from that sketch, then I can make things a little bit different. Right, so let me make, no, I don't want to make a fillet or anything because I want to keep the sketch simple so that I can adjust it afterwards. I just look in here. From top view, I am still behind this line, while here it looks more that I am crossing it. So, oopsie. My bad. Okay, so let's try to cross over. Can we cross over now? No, no, we can. Come on, Solidworks. Okay. I don't think we can anymore. But I don't like that that curve is like that. So I will create again another one so that I am sure I am crossing over. Nope. I don't want to stay coincident on that edge. Yeah, something like this. So I am crossing over the surface, over that edge in there. And I should be coming in here. I'm just checking now to see where my edge is actually finishing. Yeah, something like that. Okay. It's a bit more interesting in that way. And now I'm going to make those two coincident again. Moving this one here so that I adjust the curve in the front. Doesn't look as being very much tangent, isn't it? Okay, let's get this closer then. Yeah, probably I should reset the handles, the tangency handles. Anyway, yeah, that's kind of all right. Okay, so we have something like this. And I was initially planning to just use them to cut the surface, but I'm not going to do that anymore. But still, it was very useful that I could create the curves right on the surface so that I can see already how my model would look like. Yeah, I think I am okay with this as it is. Maybe this to be like bigger in there, just slightly. Okay. Good. Okay, so we had that. So that's fine. So now I can use this to extrude against, let's see, I should have a top plane in here and it should work. In two directions to be sure. 1 millimeter. Not sure if I want that yet. Let's see. So if I'm doing this, I'm just thinking now that I will not have the possibility to make some other more curves onto this side unless I intersect the model. I can do that. So let's do it like this. Let's intersect it somewhere around 3. Yeah, I think I'm all right with that. Okay. So that's one of the surfaces which would be curved in here, but it would be straight in here, right? So what we need now, it would be an intersection in these areas and then creating some other curves so that we can use it to cut everything, right? All right, so 3D sketch. I should be allowed to intersect these faces in here, and I am, that's great. So that means that now I can make those two as construction. Okay, so that's one thing in there. And now what I will want for all these, I think I could select the whole surface extrude really. Yeah, no, I cannot. Okay, so I will want all this in here. Actually, yeah, to intersect them with the top surface in here. I'm just selecting a bit more than the patches, only the patches that I need. Okay, and it got the intersect. And I forgot to do the fillets, isn't it? So let's leave it for now like this. And let's go here and do the fillets. How much do I need? 1. Okay, 1 there, 1 millimeter in there, and maybe 2 in here. That wouldn't match very much with that fillet, isn't it? So let's see. No, let's keep them at 1. Okay, so if we keep them at 1, they will look more or less similar, and they will not they will not distract us from what we're seeing. Okay, so now if we go back and select, can I select the whole thing? Let's see, select tangency. It worked. But I do want to select more. So select tangency plus. Okay, can I select the whole loop? No. Well, that's too bad, but fine. Let's select tangency and make an intersection. And I still cannot select, so, well, no, I can. So select tangency, that's great. Okay, I can do it like that. And now, can I select this as a tangency or something? No, okay, cool. Let's select the surfaces manually. All right, so that's that. And now, if I select this in tangency, then it should select them all, but I don't want these surfaces in here. I just don't want them. Okay, but I want the rest. Okay, awesome. So I clicked OK. It should do it. And yes, it did it. That's great. So I'm having this up to the fillet, and then I'm having this as constructions, and you will see why I make them as constructions. And then I'm having the rest of the things in here. Hopefully, we'll work with curves to cut the model, because yeah, last time we were having quite some issues with it. So let's hope it works, because otherwise we will have to lose a bit more time to make this. But even if we lose a bit more time, it's still better than by doing by conventional means. Right, so I'm going to create another spline in here on the surface. Okay, but I want on this surface, please, not on that one. Okay, let's hide this then. Let's hide it for now, so that it will not try to detect that I'm trying to put a spline there. Okay, and here I will want to go down. Okay, I do want to go down on there, but for now, okay, so let's try again. Are you going to recognize it? No. Okay, so we try from the other way around. From here, I will want to go on this surface, and I will want to be in coincident with this point. Okay. So of course it doesn't really. But I don't necessarily need these ones in here, isn't it? Yeah, let's cut these ones in there. Let's do again the spline on surface. Yeah, he doesn't like this point in here. Okay. So let's not make this for construction anymore. Let's extend it directly on the surface. It looks like it works. And this one as well. And because it's a spline, it should allow me to, no, not inflection, to insert a point on it. No, it doesn't, despite it is recognized as a generic spline. Not nice. Okay, well, not a problem. We can adapt. But anyway, until here, that's what we get. So let's see. I will try to get the spline on surface. I will try to get as close as possible to that one there. Keep this in tangency. Okay. So let's see, where do I want this point? Well, okay, Solidworks, it gets mad in here. Well, let's hope it's not crashing, really. Okay. Let's press an undo. But it does work. And anyway, yeah, okay. So I'm not going to use the intersections then. Just going to create a spline on the surface and then connect it with the edge that is higher up and adjust them afterwards. But anyway, so I want to do this. Oops. Spline on surface, and I want to do something like this. Okay, so that's that. And now I will just want to again spline on surface but between the 2 points and set everything as tangent. I don't really care much that I have too many inflection points. I shouldn't have too many inflection points, but we need to get things fast. So let's get them fast. Of course, it starts to complain that the sketch is over constrained. Yeah. Okay. Well, it looks like we need to change a little bit our strategy. So what I am going to do then instead, going to delete this. Actually, let's press Ctrl Z so that I remain with the intersections as they were. Okay, so something like this, fine. And how do I want to go on this side? I don't know, something like a curve like this. So it is not completely straight, still on the surface. Okay, cool. So I do it like that, and then I can have an extrude in 2 directions and then use that. I can do it in a different way. Yeah, so selecting these ones in here. Okay, let's make a copy of them. Yeah, and I want a copy of these ones as well. Okay, and you will see shortly why I'm doing all this, if it really works. All right, let's cut the surfaces now with the splice. Okay, so I want to remove, well, it doesn't really matter what I remove. What I am aiming is to remain with the two bodies, because then I will use those two bodies to create how is it called, ruled surface, and then I will combine the ruled surface, because that's where I wanted to arrive to. I will just combine them into one big lump of surface to cut it. Yeah, but I forgot about the fillets here, so let's use this sketch to offset this, not to offset, to okay. Yeah, I could create it like that, but let's get in here before everything, and let's close this down. Ah, I cannot do that because it's one sketch. That's fine. All right, so let's go here. Let's make direction 2. Fine. And now I can just make those there. All right, so how do I want? 1 millimeter on each side? No. So I will want multi-radius fillet. I want 0.5 here, and I want 3 here roughly. No, less, more like 2. 1.5. Fine. 1.5 in there. I will want to connect those. And now I will want to cut this. Okay, so we have arrived here where I wanted to arrive to. So now we have these, and what I will want to do so that I can keep using the surfaces, especially for the other objects that I need to create. Yeah, I want to create a revolve surface starting from what I have in here, make offsets from it, and then use it in any other model that I want to cut. And the reason why I created this one here at the bottom is just because I want a nice and smooth blend between them. So let's create a revolve, not revolve, ruled surface. Can I just select tapered to vector? Tapered to vector, it doesn't. I don't need tapered to vector now. So 1. Let's see, maybe select loop, select open loop. Yes, please, thank you. Okay, so select open loop like that. No, not trim and knit. Can I have it on both sides? I doubt. That's all right. I don't necessarily need it on both sides, so I will keep it there. Ah, in the end, trim and knit means trim and knit the ones that you are creating. That's great. So now I want to extend this just slightly. Okay, so select open loop. Oh, that is selecting everyone. Okay, so I don't want that. Can I have... Okay, I don't have something faster for selection. That's all right. Okay. Awesome. So I'm having those. Now I'm doing the same, exactly the same thing in here. Clear. I should be able to say select loop. Nope, not that. Select open loop. Yep. And then accept those, hide them, extend them. So why I do this is because, okay, but I don't want the surface. I don't want that the face. Oh, I could select the faces in the end. But since I did it with the edges, I will remain with the edges. So why I want to do this is because when you start to make the cuts, you will need to have a bit of a space in between whatever there is in there, yeah, in between the cuts. And the last thing you want is to make the same surface all over again. So make something similar to this. That is, oh, and also why is so important to make it starting from the surface using a ruled surface is because when you start to combine this directions, you will never end up at 90 degrees from at that point on the surface. So then it becomes very, very difficult to actually make the cuts to look all right. I mean, maybe it will look kind of all right, but only to some degree. Okay, so I don't like how this transition in there, but that's okay. I can adjust the curve that I used for the that I use it on the model. Okay, so I'm going to do the same things in here. Let me flip this. Curvature and curvature, okay. And now, where did I have those curves? Not this, I think it was here, yes. So in here, I do want this to be closer. And I want this to be something like this. Yeah, just increasing the distance between the two, really. All right. And this should combine nicely without much fuss. Okay, maybe I will not want to have them in curvature. Now let's update them in real time. Okay, so this one in here, maybe I want that point there. Nope. So I will need it a bit closer. Actually, something like that. That's it. Yeah, I'm trying to remove the those kind of curvy transitions in there. Something like this. No, maybe closer. Definitely not like that. Yeah, something like this. Okay, maybe a bit more adjusted in here. Just looking at the intersection. Okay, I can adjust them as well after I'm doing the cut. Right, so we are here. Okay, so we did the first surface to use for the cut, or almost. Yeah, so I'm going to make a joint surface, knit surface cut when I'm going to get used to it. Okay, so here I'm going to make an offset 0.2. Remember, it's on both sides anyway, and I think I have the option to say on both sides. No, I don't. Oh, I have to do it twice. Solidworks. Okay. So offset from this, but on the other side. Okay. So now we have the offset of 0.2. Okay, so 0.2 definitely is not the right thing. I will put it at 0.1 and as well this offset at 0.1. Okay, okay. So now that means that we have created the first surfaces that we can have in here to just cut. Okay, just checking the time, almost 1 hour, so we are near the end. Oh, and I said that I am going to update these curves just a bit further. Control B so that I don't click outside. I don't know, maybe I need to increase the distance in the end. Yeah, that did the trick, more or less. Still, I think I will need more. Somewhere in here. And more towards this side. It should work a bit better. Yeah, I'm all right with that. I don't mind it is like that. Or do I mind it's like that? Let's see. So I do want it a bit more straight, however. Nah. I will go back where I was. And get it a bit more straight. Yeah. And leave it like that. I'm better with this. Okay, cool. Right. So that means that that would be the first surface that we can use to cut, and we have them offsetted so that we can create the top part as well. So now because we have this and we can keep using this model to create all the lines to cut around. Okay, so this will constantly be independent from any other model and it will contain only the stuff that we need to cut around. Yeah. So if I go now into my original assembly and I am inserting a part, a new component, a new part, let's call this the top top small part. Don't know how to call it. Top small part. It doesn't really matter because they are visual anyway, everything. Okay, and from my original model where I have the top, I use the fillet to create an offset in 0 so that I can create a copy, right? So from the top part, I can extract, I can copy the model in there, and then I can copy this offset again in 0 so that it stays as a copy. And now I can easily just go and create the top part. And then I can repeat the same for doing the rest, the main body. Yeah. So if I am going now and say, okay, mutual between this and this, SolidWorks will detect automatically the surfaces within my model, so I don't need to worry about any other things in there. Yeah, okay, so I'm having this top bit already done nicely, and I can just apply a fillet to it of 0.1, I suppose, if you will want to do it, or 0.05. See, maybe too much. It shouldn't be. Let's go again. Let's select all the. Sometimes you need to guide SolidWorks around the edges to get them all. But let's try again at 0.5 or 0.2 actually, judging by the distance we have in there. There you go. So by selecting a few edges around so that you guide SolidWorks to understand how to continue them. Okay, should be able to do it. No, he didn't do it. I guess he needs a bit more edges selected. Yeah, somewhere he doesn't like, not the surface. Delete. So not the surface, but the edge, please. And let's try 0.1 because 0.2 is quite big anyway. Let's try in circular initially to see if it will just make it. Face fillet, okay. It doesn't like it for now. Probably somewhere we will have to check the geometry to see what is going on. I think I can select the whole edges around it. But for now I'm just looking to see if I can select others instead of selecting them all. Okay, so clear selection. Let's try all. Select loop. All the loop. No, we don't want that. Okay, we'll have to figure out next time what's the deal with those edges and why they don't want to really go as planned. But anyway, so that would be the top part, right? And if I am going on to inserting another part and make the other part of the model, yeah. So new part, okay. Let's call it, I don't know, first cuts. First main cut. So we understand what it is. Again, I will copy the fillet that I have in here. And I will copy this one that I will have in there. Yeah, that's it. And again, I will create the trim between the two. And I will remove this one. There. So now I should have the tube parts. I'm going to hide this model in here, and I should be able to see. Hold on, because I want to just, yeah, let's hide this one as well. I should be able to see really nice cuts and quite all right. I'm just looking in here, but I can figure out that one later. But anyway, quite all right transition in those cuts. Now, what I was thinking about is just to show how things can go. So if, for example, I will go in here, unhide this, and I will go onto the top lines that I have, yeah. And I will say, well, you know, I don't want them, I don't know, to be like this. I can, at some point, adjust them into the model. Of course, I need to get into the model itself to adjust them. Let me see, do I have them here? Not now. So where is my save all? I have to save them all like that. I will save them later. Yeah, so let's see, where is my surface extrude? So it is this one, and I have this one in there. So if I go and edit, yeah, and if I say, okay, but I want something like this. Now because everything is constructed in you know, in separately, I should be able to just easily go from one model to another and adjust things so that they are more as I want, just like I did previously. Yeah. So I'm going to just put it back. Okay. Anyway, so that would be how to build this. I'm just curious about the fillets around this model. Will it work to go to make it straight in here? Let's see. Not sure. So it does see, it is seeing them, but not fully. Clearly, something is going on. Well, we will figure it out next time. Not sure if it will create them. No, it's not going to create them. So probably we will, yeah, it has somewhere a continuity problem, usually around these edges that are crossing over each other. Solidworks is losing, and he doesn't know, he just doesn't know what to do anymore. But anyway, so that would be it in principle. And in this way you can keep them separately and done in such a way so that you don't lose yourself into how on earth where the surfaces are, you know, that usually is the thing that is making things difficult. Where the surfaces are, I would want this one 0.05. I want to get the cuts a little bit closer to each other, and I will want this one as well 0.05. Yeah, so there you go. And now if I'm just hiding this and press Ctrl B, you should be able to see how easy it will everything adapt without losing a lot of time to just do cuts, which is yeah, it's quite a thing to not lose the time. Yeah, so good system in my perspective. But do let me know, what do you think about it? Is it good? Is it interesting for you? Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't work. Let me know in the comments. And I just wanted to show this image in here. Don't forget, please, that anything that you may, if you are interested into one-to-one and group coaching for CAD design and rendering or CAD rendering, do leave me a message at my email address. And yeah, I hope everything was interesting for you and is is useful, not only interesting. Hopefully saving your time. That would be very nice. But that's it for today. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening. Bye bye.